Welcome to this gathering hosted by the Unitarian Universalist Church of Bowling Green. Whether you're here in person or online, we're so glad that you're joining us. I'm Aileen Arnold, and I'll be your service associate today. Before we go forward, if you haven't already, set your cell phones to silent so we can truly be with each other. We are a welcoming congregation. Whoever you are, however you identify, wherever you come from, and whoever you love, you're welcome here. Our Sunday services are different each week so that we can honor and learn from our wide array of traditions and beliefs. Today, our speaker is Adam Wink, and I will tell you more about Adam a little later. For Unitarian Universalist, the flaming chalice is a symbol of the light of learning and the love of our community. This morning, our chalice will be lit by Sharon Crawford. As our congregation's chalice is lit, please light your own chalice at home if you have one. Thank you, Sharon. Now, can we join in singing hymn number 362, Rise Up, O Flame? Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. This morning, John Downing will be giving our opening reading, Mindful of Truth by Walter Royal Jones, Jr.
Mindful of truth, ever exceeding our knowledge, and community, ever exceeding our practice. Reverently we covenant together, beginning with ourselves as we are, to share the strength of integrity and the heritage of the Spirit in the unending quest for wisdom and love.
Okay, our first hymn today is number 20, Be Thou My Vision.
Be thou my vision, O God of my heart, not be all else to me, save that thou art. Be my
join me? We have 8 principles that we base our each day behavior upon, UU principles. And I just wanted us to read in unison the first principle today. The inherent worth and dignity of every person. Thank you. Okay, the children are about to go to religious exploration, and we will sing them on their way. Go now in peace. Go now in peace. Go now in peace. May the love of us surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. We will now have a few moments for meditation, reflection, and prayer. The singing bowl will lead us into the silence. We're going to try something a little different right now as a meditative sort of hymn.
The Dalai Lama gave this advice to a monk who was entering into meditation for 3 months. He said, at the beginning of your retreat, meditate on compassion. In the middle of your retreat, meditate on compassion. And at the end of your retreat, meditate on compassion. I figure if it's good enough advice to the Dalai Lama, we should probably listen. So this, you all know the song,
Amazing Grace.
Thank you, Amazing Grace. It's the Buddhist metta meditation set to it. So Ryan and I are going to do the first line, or the first part of it.
Okay.
And then you can all join us. Basically, the only thing that's going to change is the pronouns, so watch out for that. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well and free. May I be safe from all that harms. May I be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be held and free. May you be saved from all that harms. May you be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well and free. May we be saved from all that harms. May we be
That was beautiful. As mentioned earlier, Unitarian Universalists have a wide array of beliefs, and the speakers at our Sunday services come from many traditions. Here to share his own thoughts today is Adam Wink. Adam is a Bowling Green native who's graduated from Western Kentucky University with a bachelor's degree in psychology. He is currently pursuing his master's in clinical mental health counseling at WKU, and he hopes to serve the community as a licensed counselor in the near future. He currently works as a residential contractor and is the owner of Empty River Meditation, an organization that offers free meditation education to those in the community. Some of Adam's interests include studying meditation, religious philosophy, and the Spanish language. He is married to his wife, Kinsey, and they are both grateful to have a place like the UU to be exposed to new ideas and to have discussions with like-minded people. So, welcome, Adam.
I'd like to do another round of applause for Eileen and the team today because they really crushed it. Eileen would ask me for music and ideas, and I just kept saying, I trust you guys, y'all just figure it out. So the only thing I did was come up with this and show up. So thank you once again. Can you guys hear me okay? Is this a good space? Okay, thank you. So I feel very blessed and honored to be here today. Like most of you, I grew up in this area or somewhere similar to it, and I haven't always had a place to discuss ideas and things like we do here, and it's very fulfilling for me to be able to share what I'm going to share with you today that I don't get to share with many people in this community. I would also like to thank my wife and my best friend. They're sitting over here. They were listening to me redo this speech over and over again last night for them. So, yeah. We'll see how it goes, but thank you all for having me. The intent, or what I'm talking about today, is approaching the mystery of spirituality. And the point of this lecture is not to give you a rigid model or specifics or kind of wag the finger at you at what you should be doing, but it's more about sharing kind of my own personal journey, going from a more rigid idea of spirituality to a more open idea of it. And I hope that through this message, you all can find something that is useful for you and continue on that exploration of spirituality for yourself. So without further ado, I'm going to get into my prepared material. Religion was something that I was born into. I was Adam Wink, son of Jeff and Angela Wink, and we were Catholics. We were good parishioners. We showed up on Sundays, we kept religious holidays and traditions, and I attended many summer camps where I deeply explored what it meant to be a Catholic Christian. I remember one summer camp in particular that was meant for adolescents who had been to camp many times. We had a day of silence. This silence was meant to spend in prayer, meditation, and reflection on God. I sat on a large boulder overlooking this very peaceful river, and on this boulder, I was calming and stilling my mind. Within me, there was this peaceful, calm, and clear space. I remember reaching out to God in complete trust and saying, "If you're there, please speak to me." Almost immediately after the thought left my mind, I heard, "Adam," calling from far beyond. A rush of energy moved over me like a wave. Here I was in a deep meditative prayer, and God was coming to me in a voice clear as day. Then I heard it again, "Adam." However, this time, it was much clearer and louder. I opened my eyes to see what lay before me, and for a third time, I heard the voice, "Adam." At that moment, I realized the voice of God was behind me. Quickly, I turned around to meet my Creator, and when I turned around, I heard, "Good. I was wondering if you could hear me. Everyone's meeting for lunch up in the hall." It was just one of the lead priests running the camp. The excitement quickly left my body, and it was replaced with disappointment. I thought God was talking to me in simple terms for once in my life, but I was wrong. For context, I had identified as a Catholic or Christian for a very long time at this stage of my life. I would have these profoundly intense holy moments in church, at camp, and in my private prayers and meditations on God. But whenever I was around non-believers, they constantly challenged the church's teachings, specific Bible verses, and pointed out scandals of supposedly holy people. And I couldn't help but agree with many of their points. But for over 6 years, I looked for answers to argue that my tribe was right and all the others must certainly be wrong. But in my heart, I felt something about that just wasn't quite right. And more than that, when I looked at many other spiritual paths, I saw the same hypocrisies and pitfalls of my own. It wasn't until I was 18 and joined the military that I finally admitted out loud to another person that I didn't believe in anything anymore. When I was being processed in the military, they asked me about my religious ideology. You see, on your dog tags, they put your name, your identifying number, blood type, and religious affiliation. All of this is because if you were to become gravely wounded or in an emergency, they can identify your body, give you blood if you need it, and rush a chaplain to you if you need your dying rites read. On mine, rather than Catholic or Christian, it just said none. And this was huge for me. I wasn't just an average Catholic. My peers went to me for spiritual advice and guidance. I had a whole community of friends and families to look to me as an example in many cases. And by no means was I a straight arrow, but I was a religious person. And for the first time in my life, I had no God. For around 3 years, I decided that God was something that might exist, but I didn't have much time for it. What created the universe? I don't care. How are we conscious beings? I've got homework to do. I shoved these thoughts of creation, existence, and purpose on the back burner. In a sense, I had thrown the baby out with the bathwater. If religion couldn't rationally explain God to me, then no God existed. Being done with God and religion, it may not surprise you that it piqued my interest when I heard about the Buddha and Buddhist beliefs. Here was a philosophy that didn't require you to have an all-powerful being. Rather, it encouraged you to work on yourself, still your own mind, cultivate your own compassion, and liberate yourself from your own suffering. I started buying Buddhist books, became an avid meditator, and I identified as a Buddhist for a long time. No particular flavor, though. I did study Tibetan, Zen, Theravada, Mahayana, you name it, I was comfortable studying it. And as I studied these beliefs from the East, I started seeing a lot of similarities between Buddhism and Christianity. They weren't exactly the same, but the teachings that resonated with me from the Buddha were the same ones that resonated with me from Jesus. Love one's neighbor as self, realizing we are all part of an interconnected community. In order to reach enlightenment or heaven, one should focus on giving up worldly attachments. And I thought, wasn't that interesting? I also began noticing when I was in deep meditation, I felt as if I was transcending my rational mind and touching this place of deep peace and understanding, similar to that place I had obtained on the boulder at camp. How was it that the same states of peace and consciousness I was achieving with Buddhist methods were similar to those I experienced as a Christian? Is it possible they were both talking about getting to the same place, just with different methods? I considered this concept for a long time, but it really solidified once I heard some lectures by Ram Dass, also known as Dr. Richard Alpert. And for those of you who don't know who he is, he was a popular spiritual teacher born in America. He was a fairly renowned psychologist before experimenting heavily with psychedelics with Dr. Tim Leary. And after doing that for a while, he went to the East, to India specifically, to study with a bunch of different masters and stuff like that. And he found a guru named Neem Karoli Baba. And his whole story is another lecture in itself. But I initially got his book, Be Here Now, when I was 21 years old in college. I read the first 100 pages of that book and thought, this is way too far out for me. And I put it back on a bookshelf to just collect dust. But about 3 years later, I was leaving a corporate sales job, I was unbelievably burned out and depressed, and I was looking for meaning in my life. So I decided to give it another read. He skillfully describes the overlapping beliefs between Christian, Jewish, Islamic, Hindu, Buddhist, and other spiritual paths in that book. How do they all really just describe pieces of a greater whole? What is the playbook for those on a spiritual path? How do you find your own way? And what I really enjoyed about the book was how much he recommended studying many holy texts, not just one. He also suggested various meditations, mantras, yogas, teachers, and other tools to help you along your own unique spiritual path. He admits in many of his lectures that the spiritual path is different for everybody, and that if you find yourself experiencing some kind of judgment, shame, anger, guilt towards yourself or other people, these may all just be indicators you've got a little bit of work you need to do yourself. This launched me into reading books like the Dhammapada, the New Testament, the Bhagavad Gita, and other spiritual texts. And what I now have, again, for the first time in a long time, is God without the specific religion. I no longer throw the baby out with the bathwater. At this time, I would like to elaborate more specifically on a few personal truths that have resonated with me and I feel comfortable sharing. And from this point forward, I may refer to a higher being as God, because that's the term that rolls off the tongue easiest for me. But whatever you may call it, whether it's Krishna, Source, God, Allah, Yahweh, or some other name, the closest thing that I truly believe encompasses that which is infinite and inconceivable would just be to refer to it as the mystery. And a parable to help encompass some of what I'm referring to appears in a variety of traditions, and it's known as the blind man and the elephant. And for those of you that don't know, it goes something like this. A group of blind men heard that a strange animal called an elephant had been brought to town, but none of them were aware of its shape and form. So out of curiosity, they said, we got to check it out and feel it, see what it's like. So the first person, their hands landed on the trunk, and they described an elephant as a thick snake. Another grabbed its ear, described it as a fan. Another found its leg and described it as a tree trunk. One felt its side, described it as a wall. Another grabbed the tail, described it as a rope. Another felt the tusk and described it like a spear. In this story, you can think of the blind men as us trying to understand God, or the mystery of the spirituality. The mystery is that we can never really know or explain completely in rational terms, yet we can still approach this mystery of spirituality by knowing it on a deeper level intuitively that it exists. The blind men, for instance, all encountered an elephant, but due to their inability to see it fully, they could only describe what was shown to them. From where I'm sitting, I grew up learning about a certain perspective of God. But as I've grown older, I've seen how, in a way, we're mostly the blind leading the blind in a lot of circumstances. And even now, as I speak to you, I don't claim to have a complete rational understanding of this mystery. I would instead encourage you to approach the mystery of spirituality for yourself. You don't have to rationally comprehend it, but allow yourself to know it on a deeper spiritual level. In deep prayer or meditation, I've personally found the knowing it intuitively transcends my need to understand it rationally. In regards to religion, we often want to build them around one book, one prophetic line, one person. And when one man perceives the trunk, he professes his truth, while the other professes the truth of the tusk. I believe they're both right in a way. They've both perceived the elephant, but to me, the elephant is more than its tusk and trunk. I also believe it is not only okay, but beneficial to deepen your understanding of the mystery by studying the teachings of other spiritual paths. If you're lucky, you may understand something and find something useful to apply in your own life. To know the mystery completely in a rational sense may not be possible for where we are as a species. We are the finite trying to define the infinite. And This doesn't mean, though, that we would necessarily give up all hope of understanding. Since we find ourselves existing in this time, I believe it is beneficial for us to touch those places that transcend rational thought. Having those holy moments where we connect to a greater purpose or sense of meaning helps us navigate through and continue on in a world that seems senseless and cold at times. When it comes to approaching the mystery, I cannot tell you the best way for you to do it. What I would suggest you do is contemplate the moments when you feel the most connected, grounded, and at peace. Is it during meditation or prayer? Maybe a walk in nature, the sound of music? Whenever and wherever it is, I just encourage you to take note of that. When do you feel most connected to that mystery? Find time for yourself to be in this space. It is my belief when you are lost, broken, disconnected, or feel unloved, approaching the mystery can be helpful. There is something about connecting in this way that opens a deep well of inner resources we may not have access to when we are fearful, angry, worried, or disturbed by some other kind of emotion. No matter how we may conceive our situation, there's always more going on than we are aware of. While there's always a reason to despair, there's equally a reason to have hope. I wouldn't dare to say I am purely a determinist, but I can't help but feel and know that we are all gathered here and find ourselves where we are in life for some sort of purpose or cosmic lesson. I can't predict the future. I can't explain the past. But I do have hope and belief that we are all connected and destined to transcend where we are now as a people, move towards a better community for all. You and I are interconnected in some way on this journey together. You and I are becoming and unfolding along this path every day. I have no idea where this journey will take us, but if it feels right for you, as it does for me, keep approaching that mystery of spirituality in whatever way feels comfortable for you, and let it guide you on your path. Thank you for your time.
That was lovely. Thank you, Adam. This congregation and the work we do is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who contribute. The offering is a sacrament of the Free Church. We'll have the plates just passed around. You may place your donation in the plate or use the QR code, which will be right there, or you can donate via our website. As we enjoy the music, the offering will be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values.
This song was written by someone who grew up in a Catholic church. When I was a boy each week, Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word, consecrate the holy bread. Everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two. Jesus made the water wine. I remember feeling still. Miracles don't happen. Now I can't keep track. Everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse, made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. Used to be a world half there, heaven second rate, hand me down. Now I'm walking with a reverent air. So everything is holy now. Everything is holy now.
We thank you for these gifts. May we use them wisely in the service of our congregation and the community. Okay, community news. Let's see. Okay, the one thing to do is always check the email that we get every week, because that is the most up-to-date sort of listing of announcements. But you see that we have a road trip to Russellville to the Sikh Museum there on October 14th, a native plant sale here at church. October 21st, Pride celebration downtown. And this is important. Poll workers are still desperately needed in Warren County. So call the county clerk's office to volunteer if you feel like you can do that. Diane, did you want, or?
I was just going to say on the poll workers, I've signed up to be a poll worker. The two trainings are on the 24th and the 26th of October.
Okay.
The cutoff was supposed to be in September, but they still need workers so badly. So please call. We signed on to the voter project to get a polling place added. They added one. Now we need to show up. So if you can help in any way, it would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, thank you. Natalie?
Yes, I just want to speak to the trip to the Sikh Museum.
Yeah.
Go to the microphone.
I think this worked, yes.
Thank you. Last year we saw by partners unknown. By parties unknown. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Which was a documentary about the Sikh Museum in Russellville, and it was about slavery, and that documentary was specifically about the lynchings that occurred in Russellville. But the Sikh Museum is actually 5 different buildings, and it's a wonderful museum. Michael, who is here, Michael Morrow, who actually was here during that time, is the curator of those museums. And so we have set up, along with our 8th principal, okay, to learn more about slavery and racism in this area, and this is right in Russellville. So I have more information. I won't say it now. I'll be out in the hall if you'd like to sign up, if you know you want to go. If you want to learn out more information about it, I also have another sheet with more information, and this Thursday I will put all the information in the weekly update.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Natalie. Sharon.
If you're not getting email updates about what's happening here, any of the greeters can give you a yellow slip of paper. You just put your name, your email address, and any other information you want to give us, and that will get you that weekly update.
Okay, good. One more that I don't think is on here. If you're a newcomer or have been coming for a while and you're interested in just finding out about membership, there's going to be a Getting to Know UU session October 10th at 6:30 in the fellowship hall. It goes for about an hour and a half, and it's a great opportunity just to get to know a few people and to ask your questions.
This actually, if you're interested,
Okay.
I'm going to put this at the table right to the left as you go out the door there, if you're interested in coming to that.
Okay.
It'll be helpful to the hobby.
Okay, thanks, Sharon. And building on that, if you've got questions today about Unitarian Universalism or about joining, you can talk to anytime to someone on the membership team. And why don't we have the members raise their hand? Yes. Okay, and or you can certainly get in touch with our board president, Roxanne Spencer, and she's at email president@uubgky.org. Okay, I think we're at our last hymn. Love Will Guide Us, number 131. This morning, John Downing will give us our final reading, and it's For All Who See God by Robert Mabry Doss.
For all who see God, may God go with you. For all who embrace life, may life return your affection. For all who seek a right path, may a way be found, and the courage to take it step by step.
After the service, you're invited to go over to the fellowship hall for snacks, beverage, and very friendly conversation. Hope to see you there. Oh, potluck? Oh, yes. Sorry about that. Okay, so beyond snacks. Okay, right. Okay, we now bid farewell to those who have joined us online. We hope you found this service meaningful, and we invite you to join us again. Be well and go in peace.